Welcome to GetFocus Insights, where we will reveal which emerging technologies will dominate the future. We cut through the noise and deep dive into emerging technologies that will reshape industries before they hit the mainstream. Each episode is powered by GetFocus's technology forecasting platform, turning global patent data into foresight you can act on. From breakthrough materials to bioengineered foods, we show you where the momentum is building and who is already ahead. The technological future is more predictable than you think. There are patterns hidden in the citation networks that underlie global patent data that reveal which emerging technologies are going to dominate long before it's obvious. We are GetFocus, and around this principle, we have built the world's first technology forecasting platform. My name is Jart van Inge. I'm the CEO and co-founder here at GetFocus, and I'm joined today by...
Hello, I'm Martina, and I'm a senior analyst here at GetFocus.
There is exponentially more emerging technology across time. But what hasn't changed is the amount of time that it takes to keep up and to make the right bets, leaving you in a situation where the puzzle is growing faster than you can lay down the pieces. For the first time ever, we have enough data, compute, and intelligent enough models to solve this problem with AI. With our technology forecasting platform, you can do 4 things. You can scout for all emerging technologies in your area, eliminating blind spots. You can then evaluate these technologies based on any set of parameters that you care about, reducing months of work into a single day. Next, we can forecast the future developmental trajectories of these technologies, identifying the fastest improvers so you can spot the winners long before it's obvious. You can think of this process as a funnel. So we start with everything, we narrow down the list, spot you the winners, and finally we can do deep dives. An AI-powered technology that lets you answer questions like, which materials go into this? How do I produce it? What are my competitors doing? And who can I partner with? So the crucial question in all of this is, how is it possible to forecast the technological future? Back in 2018, we collaborated with a research group at MIT that has been studying technological change for over 30 years. They asked questions like, what is Moore's law? Why does one technology win and the other doesn't? Why are some hyped and some are not? Etc. At some point, they realized that they had lots of theories, but they didn't have any data to test these theories. So they set out on a massive effort to empirically measure technological progress and cost in over 28 domains of technology, ranging from batteries to fuel cells to DNA sequencing and everything in between. What they found is that every technology improves exponentially over time. Here's an example of what that looks like in the case of hard drives. The purpose of a hard drive is to store information, which we can measure in gigabytes, and the cost we can measure in dollars. Note that the y-axis is logarithmic. So whereas this looks like linear progress, it is in fact exponential progress. And also note that progress averages out at about 32% per year and that it's very consistent over time. MIT found that this behavior of exponential consistent progress applies to every single field of technology that they studied. The easiest way to think of these rates of progress is as interest on a bank account. The rate of progress compounds with time. So although the rate is consistent, the actual progress gets faster and faster and faster. Gathering all of this information took MIT over 6 years, which is very expensive and it doesn't scale. So the crucial question for us became, can we somehow predict this rate of progress? Which is why we started thinking about patent data. So why patents? First of all, before it's on the market, it's in patents. Almost everything you can imagine is or will be patented, leaving behind a massive data trail of sequential inventions building on top of one another. The only thing that is funny about patents is that it's the only thing that we agree on globally. So a patent from China looks virtually the same as one from Japan, Germany, France, the US. It doesn't matter. It all follows the same rules and it all looks the same. And because it's so well structured, it is perfect for AI because AI loves well-structured data. Typically, patents are thought of as legal documents, which they are, but also doesn't really make sense. Because if you look at a patent, it's almost exclusively detailed technical information. So what do they actually look like and what is in them? Basically, with a patent, you say 4 things. You say, here's my invention, here's what I'm improving over, this is why it's better than what came before, and here's a very long, typically quite painful to read, detailed technical description of how it all works. In all of this, part 2, the referring back to prior inventions is crucial. The referencing of prior inventions is done through citations. And with these citations, at scale, we can calculate interesting things. Imagine in this example that we've invented something in 2019, and we refer back to a prior invention from 2014. That means that apparently it took 5 years for us to come up with the next step for this field of technology. This we call cycle time, and the easiest way to think of it is as how quickly does a technology take steps forward, or how fast does it iterate. The next thing we measure, we call knowledge flow, measuring how much our invention from 2019 is getting cited by subsequent inventions. The easiest way to think of this is as how big of a step forward this invention represents. What we found out is that these metrics can predict technological change. And here's the method that we use to do it. We use AI models to find every single invention that cumulatively have contributed to technological progress within a field throughout all of history. Over time, we measure the cycle time, so how quick the technology takes steps, and knowledge flow, how big those steps are. And those 2 metrics combined turn out to predict how fast the technology will improve. We verified with MIT's data that these metrics truly predict technological progress, and in particular, the speed of technological progress. Because what we found is that technologies that improve fast have short cycle times and high knowledge flow. And vice versa, for slow improving technologies, they have very long cycle times and very low knowledge flow. So rapidly improving technologies take quick, big steps, and the other way around, slow improving technologies take slow, small steps. Based on our studies of past technological disruptions, we found that the fastest improving technology out of a set of competing technologies always ends up as the winner. Meaning that, by studying improvement rates today, we can predict which technologies that are currently emerging in any space will dominate.
Most people used to believe lab-grown meat as sci-fi, but we might be closer than we may realize to see it become a reality. But what exactly is lab-grown meat and how is it made? Lab-grown meat is also known as cultured meat or cell-based meat. It is real animal meat that's growing directly from animal cells in a lab rather than by raising and slaughtering the animals. The process begins with a small, minimally invasive biopsy from a living animal. It's typically just a tiny piece of muscle tissue, not bigger than a sesame seed. More importantly, this doesn't harm the animal at all. The procedure is often done under local anesthesia, and this is just similar to any routine veterinary check. From this sample, scientists extract stem cells or satellite cells, which are the building blocks of muscle and fat. These cells are then placed in a nutrient-rich growth medium and housed in a bioreactor, which mimics the conditions inside an animal's body. Over time, the cells multiply and differentiate, forming the same tissue you'd find in a conventional cut of meat. The results, a product that's biologically identical to traditional meat. Looking back to 2013, a Dutch professor, Mark Post, announces to the world that, together with his team, he has successfully grown the first hamburger patty from cow stem cells. It then gets cooked by a chef and eaten by food researchers in London. The only caveat? To create this first patty, $330,000 were necessary, as well as high-profile investors like Google co-founder Sergey Brin. Fast forward to 2019, and the same patty now costs $19. So the question is, will it remain a niche curiosity, or will lab-grown meat arrive on the average kitchen table? But what is driving interest in cultured meat? There are 2 main drivers. On one hand, traditional meat has long been associated with unsustainability related to raising and feeding the animals, as well as it being ethically debatable. On the other hand, consumers are losing interest in meat substitutes due to the taste, as well as them often being considered ultra-processed products. Lab-grown meat presents itself as the best of both worlds, real meat without the issues. Is it really going to scale and become a viable option? Let's see what our analysis revealed, condensing months of research in just one day. Let's look at some data. The environmental impact of traditional meat production is well known. It accounts for 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions, and livestock grazing and feed production use about 77% of all agricultural land. By 2030, meat consumption is estimated to grow by over 14%. At the same time, plant-based meat substitutes are losing momentum. There are currently over 170 companies worldwide producing cultured meat, with a total estimated investment of over $3 billion. To assess if lab-grown meat can meet the mainstream demand, we have to track how fast the technology is advancing. At GetFocus, we do so by analyzing improvement rates to compare its progress against traditional meat production. Traditional meat can count on a number of advantages: a mature supply chain, familiar taste, and economies of scale. But it has also some notable downsides: environmental impact, animal welfare concerns, possible antibiotic resistance risk, as well as disease risk. Cultured meat can serve as a solution to basically all those disadvantages, but it is also not free of challenges: high energy use, expensive when compared to traditional meat, public acceptance issues, and also regulatory uncertainty. Let's see how improvement rates can help us establish whether lab-grown meat has what it takes to become a viable option. Thanks to our AI-powered scouting technology, we can generate a comprehensive overview of all relevant technologies within a given field, from well-established industry standards to the most cutting-edge emerging innovations. For example, we can ask our platform to scout for lab-grown meat technologies. And in just a few seconds, we get a complete overview of all the relevant technologies. For example, here we can easily find one of the technologies that we have analyzed specifically in this report, like bioreactor systems. Now that we know what we are looking for, we can seamlessly move into creating a patent landscape for any given technology. Let's take bioreactor as an example, and by clicking search, we ask our platform to scan global patent data and build a custom dataset of all the relevant patents related to bioreactor technologies for lab-grown meat. Once we have the dataset, we can really start to dig deeper. One of the most useful tools here is Chat with Invention. It lets you interact directly with a single patent. You can ask specific questions and the AI will read the full patent and provide a clear, grounded answer. You can basically have a conversation with any patent you are interested in. But what's even more powerful is our Chat with Set feature. This allows you to ask questions to up to 1,000 patents at once. So instead of spending weeks reading and comparing documents, you get the key insights in just a few minutes. For example, let's say we want to know what are the latest innovations in bioreactor technologies for lab-grown meat. The AI will analyze the entire patent set and generate an answer based on the actual data. Not just any AI-generated answer, but a response grounded in real, verifiable patent data. And just like that, you can continue to Q&A the whole dataset to find everything you want to know about. If we want to refine or narrow down our dataset, we can use one of our latest and most powerful features, the LLM filter. With this tool, you can simply describe what you're looking for in natural language. No more complex search with keywords with the risk of missing out on synonyms or similar meanings. The LLM will read through each patent individually, evaluating whether it matches your criteria. It's a fast, intelligent way to refine a dataset to your needs. In this case, we can ask, find patents that describe bioreactors specifically designed for culturing animal cells without using fetal bovine serum, focusing on plant-based growth medium. And by applying our filter, we now have a completely refined dataset. Once we are happy with the dataset, we can easily save it project by hitting Save, creating a new folder, lab-grown meat, and by selecting it. One great feature of our system is that you can easily share this folder with your team, so everyone has access to the insight and can stay aligned, whether they are in R&D, strategy, or the innovation department of your organization. Every point in time, cultured meat has demonstrated higher improvement rates, signaling that, while still in the development stage, its innovation pace may lead to compete sooner than expected. It is also important to see how some of the critical enabling technologies for lab-grown meat are developing. Bioreactors represent high-tech wombs for cultured meat. At the moment, they face significant challenges. They are expensive to build, operate, and maintain. They also require strict sterile conditions and advanced monitoring. However, around 2013, with successful attempts like the one of Professor Post, bioreactor technologies showed a peak improvement rate, and they have been growing steadily ever since. At the current rate, their capabilities are set to double every 3.6 years, unlocking an ever-growing wave of improvement. We can also take a look at the technology readiness level. The TRL represents the maturity of a technology, from the early stage of research till full commercial viability. Cultured ground meat, especially for burgers and nuggets, show a readiness level of 7 to 8. Meaning that it's undergoing final validation and pre-market testing, while whole cat meat still shows a TRL of 4-5, representing the key bottlenecks. Growth medium innovation remains a critical aspect of development, both when considering animal-derived medium with a current TRL of 6 and plant-based options with a TRL of 5. Currently, China and the US are the innovation leaders. The American company Upside Food lead the global IP race, but 4 of the top 5 organizations that are patenting cultured meat are Chinese. A fundamental step for the wide distribution of cultured meat is regulatory approval. Singapore became the first country to approve the selling of cultured meat, while the US Department of Agriculture approved the selling of cell-cultivated chicken. Israel approved the selling of first cultured beef steak. When it comes to Europe, in the Netherlands, they permitted public testing of lab-grown meat. The road is long, but nonetheless, many countries are leading the way for a wider acceptance. Cultured meat may sound like a futuristic fantasy, yet it's a rapidly advancing technology that is outperforming traditional livestock production. While significant challenges still persist, we may be closer than ever to see lab-grown meat on our tables. The meat may not be real, but the data is. Thank you for joining GetFocus Insights, and stay tuned for more.